please silence your cell phones. If you can, please stand and cite the Pledge of Allegiance with me. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk Higgins, if you call a roll, please.
Counsel Campbell.
Present.
Counsel Demers.
Present.
Counsel DeMambro.
Present.
Counsel Ferrullo.
Present.
Counsel Mercer Bruin.
Present.
Counsel Papalato.
Present.
Counsel Toro.
Present.
Counsel Viola.
Present.
President Dillon.
Present.
President, I'll make a motion that we vote to dispense with the reading of the previous minutes journal and approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
First item on the agenda is an order amending Woburn Municipal Code, Section 2-180, base salaries for the Public Works Facilities Manager.
Make a motion that the matter be referred to the Committee on Ordinance, Charter, and Rules.
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Next item on the agenda is petitions for various 2025 renewal of second-class motor vehicle sales licenses.
Make a motion the matter be referred to the Committee on Public Safety and License.
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Next item on the agenda is petition for new second-class motor vehicle sales license for Alex Auto and Repair at 505 Main Street.
Same action.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Next item on the agenda is, next two items are from the Gustavino Realty LLC, one for a proposed zoning amendment to add a new section of the Woburn zoning ordinance to include the Central Square Overlay District, and another one is the amendment to the Woburn zoning map by making 13 parcels of land subject to the Central Square Overlay District.
Madam Clerk, would it be easier just to take these collectively? I'll
Yes.
Make a motion we take both matters collectively.
Second.
Can you just do it all?
Oh, and refer to the public hearing and be referred to the planning board.
Yes.
Second.
The motion and the second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Next item on the agenda is a petition by Woburn Edens LLC, request for minor plan changes.
Make a motion, we refer this to special permits.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
First item on the agenda we have under public hearings is a petition for National Grid for grant of location to replace existing gas main of 650 feet with 940 feet of new plastic gas main from 315 to 323 New Boston Street. A communication dated December 13th, 2024 was received from Jay Duran, the Superintendent of Public Works.
I'll make a motion the communication be received, made part of the permanent record.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Just 1 second. I think the communications were mixed up. The communication in the extended agenda for New Boston Street Bridge was actually in Mill Street and vice versa. I can update that in the journal.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's,
And Diana Cuddy is here.
how are you tonight?
Well, I have a little cold, so I'm trying to protect everybody.
Thank you for doing that.
Diana Cuddy, National Grid, 170 Data Drive, Waltham, Massachusetts. And am I speaking first for New Boston Street? Yeah, okay. So National Grid is requesting a grant location to relocate an existing gas main to accommodate DOT is building a bridge over the MBTA tracks. And so in doing so, they're burying our gas main 20 to 30 feet below grade, which we have come up with a design to go circumvent their construction. But I think Jay Duran met with our supervisor out there, and he's asking for a continuance. So I'm hoping tonight if I can get this one continued, because we have to circle back with the DOT. There was a staff change there, and we're under a timeline to get our gas main moved as per the contract that we have with them for this particular project. So I need to find out who the new staff person is that's taken over that project. I need a little more time on this one.
So your wishes for a continuance?
Yes.
Thank you. Do you know when you'd like that continuance till?
Probably sometime in January, whatever.
We have January 7th, January 21st.
The 7th, I should be able to find out everything by then.
Okay,
Thank you.
very good.
Make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Is there anyone here in the audience that would like to speak in this matter? Please step forward. Seeing no one.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion that we continue it to the regular meeting of the City Council on January 7th.
Second.
A motion and a second to continue it to January 7th. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is National Grid for grant of location to install approximately 40 feet of 6-inch plastic gas main at 50 Mill Street. A communication dated December 13, 2024 was received from Jay Duran, the Superintendent of Public Works.
Make a motion that communications received made part of the permanent record.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Hi,
Good, the floor.
Diana Cuddy, National Grid, 170 Data Drive, Waltham, Massachusetts. Yes, we're requesting a grant location to extend a gas main approximately 100 feet, 40 feet, and then 60 feet to connect to a new gas main in a private development. It's a customer-driven request, and I know that Jay met out at the job site with the supervisor, and I saw a letter of approval from him, so we're happy to go with the compliance requirements he had, staying away from the existing municipal utilities.
Very good. Yes, Councilor Demis.
So, Diane, would the letter that Jay submitted to us, would those conditions in the letter are okay with you folks?
Yes, they are, yep.
Yes, Councilor Mercer
I'd
Bruin.
also like to add a condition that the, you guys don't use Washington Terrace as an exit. It's a very small road off of Mill Street.
Okay,
You really should be using Salem to
Okay.
exit.
okay.
And I'm going to make that part of the condition.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. And then I'll relay that back to Jay, so when we do a traffic management plan, we'll incorporate.
I really appreciate that, and so do the neighbors on Washington Terrace and Mill. I really appreciate
Okay,
that.
yep.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
I'll make that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second to open the public hearing, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Is there anyone here in the audience that would like to speak in this matter? Please step forward. Seeing no one.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second to close the public hearing, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Make a motion that the grant of location be approved with the conditions outlined by the DPW superintendent, as well as the one approved by Councilor Mercer Bruin.
Second.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Thank you.
Thank you
You're
very
all
much.
set. Have a nice night.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is Shri Gunraj LLC for a special permit under section 5.1 subsection 29 to allow a fast food restaurant at 100 Sylvan Road, AKA 100 Train Center, Suite 1410. There are no communications. I believe the petitioner is here.
Please step forward, sir. State your name and address.
Hey, good evening. My name is Dhruv Patel, and I'm here to, and first of all, the address she mentioned, that is a 300 Trade Center. 100 Sylvan Road, 300 Trade Center.
Okay.
All right, so
Tell
I'm-
us what you'd like to do there.
So we are planning to open an Indian fast food restaurant over there. It is a business building, and it will serve takeouts, delivery, and self-service for the business peoples who are working under the business buildings. And it will be, the menu will be the Indian sandwiches, shakes, juice, and we have everything's worked out. There will be no construction or anything in the premises. There will be minor wall paintings or appliances. So we are here to get a special permit for that. And we will be work under P&D.
Very good. Questions? Yes, Councilor DeMambro.
So I'm familiar with that location, and I'm assuming you're taking over the old site that was a salad-type sandwich shop that was on the lower
That was a-
left side of the building?
It was a Dunkin' before over there.
Oh, you're on the Dunkin' Donuts side. Okay.
So
All right.
Dunkin' Donuts was before us.
Yep,
over there.
near the Middlesex Courthouse on the back side of the building?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. And then you're not going to do any renovations whatsoever? You're not going to change any ovens or deep fryers or anything like that?
We are getting new appliances, but there will be no major renovations or no breaking down anything. It will
Okay.
be just minor paint, and if we need new appliances, we'll just replace the appliances. That's all.
I would just ask that you stay in constant communication with Commissioner Quinn of the Inspectional Service Department.
Yes.
Make sure you're in contact with him, and he'll, do a walkthrough, and he'll tell you exactly what he needs, what
Yes.
you need over there.
Definitely.
With plumbers and electricians and so on and so forth with today's codes.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent, thank you.
You're welcome. Councilor Demers.
Are we aware of any previous conditions with the special permit that existed on the site with regards to the Dunkin' Donuts?
I don't know, no one asked me for that.
Yeah, no, I don't know if I'd be comfortable moving forward with anything this evening. I think it should be sent off to special permit so we can review that.
Okay.
Just because previous conditions are an important indicator of what was allowed and what worked at that site. But then also, we want to make sure that there's no conflicting information as to, in your packet, the hours of operation may be different than what the Dunkin' Donuts and so forth. So we just want to make sure everything's tied up. So we'll probably do one committee hearing, get everything squared away, and then we'll
Okay.
be back in here in either probably late January.
Okay.
I think that would be the appropriate action from the council.
That's good advice. Thank
A
you.
motion to send it to committee?
Second.
Well,
Sorry.
you got to open the public hearing first, yeah. I'll make a motion, we open the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Is there anyone here who would like to speak in this matter? Please step forward. Seeing no one.
I'll make a motion that we continue to the regular meeting of the city council on January 21st and that the matter be referred to the committee on special permits.
Second.
The motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good night. Thank you, Joe.
Next item on the agenda is Gurbani Jasmine LLC DBA Tandoor and Curry for a special permit under section 5.1, 57B and section 7.3, as well as a modification of previously issued special permit. Permits at 902 Main Street. There are no communications.
Attorney Tabby, how are you?
Okay, fine, thank you. Attorney Joseph Tabby, Reuben Rudman, 500 Unicorn Park Drive in Woburn, here on behalf of the petitioner, Gurbani Jasmine LLC, of 6 Howard Court in Woburn. Petitioners requested a special permit under 7.3 and 5.1 57B to allow for a modification to the original special permit that was granted at the site on March 1st of 2018, that being to Crispy Crunchy Chicken. That special permit was modified this past February to allow Gurbani Jasmine LLC to take over that restaurant location, and council approved that, and they've been operating a restaurant called Tandoor in Curry, so which is a fast casual restaurant. They also have 2 Indian food trucks that they operate, and the request under this special permit is to allow for the parking of both trucks on the premises as shown on the site plan that we filed with the petition. So to the right of the restaurant, there is an area that's available, for parking for two food trucks, and that's the request.
Questions for Attorney Tabby? Councilor DeMambro.
Sorry, I just, I know the trucks are down there, and there is an adequate space for that. I would just ask that there be a few conditions in regards to it. They're rather light conditions. One being, I've seen plugs coming from the building to the trucks. I don't know if that's for charging units or to keep the motor blocks warm, but I would just ask that those are in compliance with the electrical code and the proper electrical outlets are in place now that, those are formally going to be used to, charge those trucks or keep those trucks warm. My next condition would be, I would ask you keep those trucks off of Bain Street and Minot Street. They're rather good-sized vans, bread trucks, and it's just a narrow area over there with school in Maine, with the traffic light, so on and so forth. So I would ask that would be a second condition. The third, keep the trucks nice and clean, inside and out, for obvious reasons. We're trying to keep the rodents to a minimum all throughout the city. And I would also ask that they keep up on their rodent control. That was a condition on the previous special permit. And my last one would be, I don't want to see any truck tires, batteries, or anything of that sort. No spare parts on the exterior of that building. Wherever they have it repaired, leave it there. That's what I would ask.
Okay, those are all reasonable requests.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Councilor Viola.
Through the chair to Councilor DeMambro, would you want to condition in there not to block the dumpster as well?
They have to block the dumpster. The dumpster's in front of the trucks. And what they'd have to do is, through the chair, what they have to do is, when the trucks go out during the day, they would move the dumpster forward, because it is a 2-yard dumpster, or 2.5-yard dumpster. It's on wheels, carriages, so they roll the dumpster out so that the carting company can come in with the front feed, they hook it up to the blades, they dump it, they put it down, and they push it back into the property on the backside of the parking area. So that's not necessary. Thank you.
Councilor Toyle.
Through the, through the chair, Council DeMambro, are you okay with adding a condition to making sure these vehicles are registered in the city of Woburn?
Yes, that was another condition of mine. I did not write that down, but I do appreciate that. Both vehicles are registered with the city of Woburn.
Thank you.
Quick, okay.
Excellent. Thank you, sir.
Councilor Demias.
Thank you, Council Toro.
Thank you. Through the chair to Councilor DeMambro. Councilor DeMambro, or this might be a question I should ask the attorney. Attorney Tarby, when was the original special permit for the crispy crunchy chicken issued?
When was it? 2018.
2018.
And it was modified in February of 2024 this year to allow Gurbani to take over the
Okay, so
location.
my only question would be to make sure that the existing conditions are in full force and effect for any type of modification or additional permitting. So I don't know if the councilor from the ward wanted to include language to make sure that even though the modification's occurring and there's a special permit for the other use, that the existing conditions remain.
Yes,
Because is this just a continuation of this?
it's a continuation.
Okay.
So we're
it's-
just kind of
those
adding
cur-
on
so
to
those
it.
current actions, Counselor, I know you've done a lot of work up there with this site, especially with the parking and being very mindful of the neighbors. I didn't want to see good work go by the wayside, but if that's the case.
No, it should be an attachment. Apparently that they have to use these food trucks, and they were parking in there, and it came to my attention.
Okay.
And that's why we are here today,
So
just
is
to
there-
make sure it's all included in one.
Great. And through the chair again,
one
is there
permit.
comfortability there to move this tonight?
Yes, absolutely.
Any other questions?
Make a motion to open the public hearing?
Second.
Motion and a second to open the public hearing. All in favor? Aye. That passes. Is there anyone here in the audience that would like to speak in this matter? Please step forward. Seeing no one.
Make a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
Motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
I would make the motion that we allow the special permit to park the 2 food trucks at said location under the 5 conditions that I have added on to the special permit.
Second.
There was a 6th added by him and potential 7th by,
I'll withdraw my second.
the 6th, it would be 6 for registering the vehicles.
Registered vehicles. So that's 5 or 6.
Six.
It'd be 6. for
Okay, so
registering-
it's 6. I'm sorry, 6.
What I have, may I read it back to you?
Please
sir?
do.
1, I have, make sure the plugs from the building to the trucks are in compliance with electrical code to keep, in compliance with electrical code. 2, keep trucks off of Main Street and Maynard,
Why not?
Minot Street. 3, keep trucks nice and clean inside and out. 4, keep up with the rodent control. 5, no truck, tires or spare parts on side of the building. And then I had a 6 that, both vehicles need to be registered in the city of Woburn.
Yeah, I kind of combine the shiny trucks inside and out and the auto parts. No auto parts on the property, but yeah, you can break that down to 2. Sure.
Is that
Yeah,
right?
that's fine.
Thank you.
So we'll go with the 6 conditions.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That passes.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Next item on the agenda is 20 Sonar Drive LLC for special permit under section 7.3 and 5.169, as well as a modification of previously issued special permit dated November 7, 2019, and modified on December 15, 2021, and November 7, 2023, to allow for the construction of a second building for light manufacturing, continued parking in buffer zone, and continued use of a new building in buffer zone at 20 to 30 Sonar Drive. And there are no communications.
Councilor Tarby, how are
Yes,
you?
for the record, Joseph Tabby, Reuben Redmond, 500 Unicorn Park Drive in Woburn. We're just going to need a minute to set this PowerPoint up.
No problem.
There should be a court over here.
Just yours or Diane's?
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to provide you with an overview of the request, and then David will take you quickly through the PowerPoint, of which we provided you with copies with the memorandum that was provided to you at the end of last week. So petitioner previously was granted a special permit under section 7.3, 5.169, in order to modify the 2019 special permit that was modified on December 15th, and then further modified on November 7th of 2023. The decision allowed for the construction of a second building on the premises, which is the building to the right. The original business started at 20 Sonar Drive. The petitioner purchased 30 Sonar Drive, tore the building down, and constructed the new building that was to be used for light manufacturing. In addition, the special permit allowed for the continued parking within the buffer zone as shown on the plan filed with the petitioner, and the continued use of the building within the buffer zone that had been built. Previous building was further into the buffer zone. The new building was brought a little forward. So this request is to modify that decision to allow for a revised site plan, an increase in advanced manufacturing use from 17,027 square feet to 25,891 square feet, and then to allow for a reduction in the number of parking spaces from 83 spaces to 67 for the proposed advanced manufacturing, office, lab, research, and testing uses, and continued use of existing non-conforming parking spaces. The property is located in the IG zoning district, and as I previously stated, on November 17 of 2019, that was the first special permit that was issued, and that was for the reconditioning, adjusting, and equipping of detailed motor vehicles. The petitioner had stored inside the building on the left high-end motor vehicles that he manufactured special parts for, along with detailing and making whatever adjustments that the owner of the vehicle had requested. That special permit was at 20 Sonar Drive. The second special permit was in December of 2021 that allowed for the construction of the building at 30 Sonar Drive. So here we are today. The petitioner, who does business as Scott, has shifted its automotive reconditioning business elsewhere, and proposes to use both 20 and 30 Sonar Drive for advanced manufacturing. So Scott focuses on advanced manufacturing for industries like aerospace, defense, semiconductors with components that are now used in space and hopefully heading to the moon at a future date. They employ high-end machinery in the building with robotics that create precision parts, laser scanning, and they have a highly engineered team that does all this work. It's a pretty impressive facility that he has. We remember during the summer, I guess it was Councilor Papalato, Mayor Concanon, and myself, we had a tour of the facility, and it's one of those hidden gems in the city of Woburn. So the request on the modified site plan includes the following. In the materials we provided to you, we showed a rockfall barrier a berm, picking up on suggestions that were made by Councilor DeMambro months ago. And we showed you the layout of that berm, which consists of a berm, Jersey barriers, and then a fence on top of that. We did appear before the Board of Appeals a couple months ago, and they unanimously approved an increase in the height because we were over 6 feet. And also, we were close to the rear lot line, which, as you know, cuts into the cliff behind the building. The site plan also shows revised parking layout. It shows additional compact spaces. It shows the 67 spaces. We've relocated handicap parking spaces closer to the building entrances and relocated some of the snow storage areas and established an area behind 20 Sonar Drive where utility equipment can be installed. And then the second request is to increase the advanced manufacturing from 17,027 square feet to 25,891 square feet, and then to reduce the parking under 8.2.5 from 83 spaces to 67 spaces based on the multiple uses within the two buildings. Section 8.2.4 allows that in a case, I'm just going to read from the ordinance, in the case of a combination of two or more uses in a single integrated development, the city council may give a special permit to reduce the number of required stalls, but in no case may such reduction exceed 1/3 of such total. So if we were going to use the zoning ordinance as written, we would require 83 spaces. Our request is to reduce not by 1/3, but by 20% to 67 spaces. In the 67 spaces in the advanced manufacturing industry are consistent with industry standards, which are 2 spaces per 1,000 square feet for this type of use. Because you have a lot of the square footage is taken up by high ceilings, equipment, and you don't have that many employees. In fact, this particular use between the two buildings, I believe there's 18 employees that work in these two buildings. Now, the same ratio was used when the council voted to reduce the parking at 216 New Boston Street for Cab and Forbes for the approval of that advanced manufacturing research and testing building. Also, the same parking requirements were adopted for the T-Bod and the L-Bod overlay districts for advanced manufacturing. So with this, I'm just going to have David take you quickly through the PowerPoint just to refresh your memory as to the property. So David, if you want to take over.
I just have a clarification. There is a communication that Attorney Tabley,
I'll make a motion that we receive it, make part of the record.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
thank you.
Hello, everyone. Dave Bamforth of 20 Sonar Drive. So yeah, we can just briefly go through these slides that were shared. I think some of this was already kind of highlighted by Joe, but this first section is just about the reclassification of advanced manufacturing. As defined by the Woburn zoning code, we definitely fit the bill for this almost to a T. It was almost like this was written around our company. Some of the major things that are highlights is the mention of advanced manufacturing, including computer-aided design, which we do a lot of, reverse engineering, enhanced prototyping and simulation we do quite a lot of, and then computer-integrated manufacturing is almost entirely what we do as our core kind of function. We use, as mentioned in here, computer numeric controlled equipment. All the equipment that we use is a CNC equipment, and then we have quite a few robots to automate processes, and then we also use a lot of 3D printing, and 3D printing is the main focus for this additional area and use case. So kind of the last thing mentioned here is Ren Scott processes, and materials, and the mention of laser powder bed fusion, which is a process for metal 3D printing parts. So in this new space the Renscott will be occupying for manufacturing, that's causing that increase in manufacturing space is for this process. And we expect to have 12 machines in there. The machines, once they're set up, they run completely without human interaction for up to 2 days at a time. So even with 12 machines, we assume like 4 employees would be enough to run those machines. So they're not nearly as labor intensive as maybe traditional manufacturing, where you would have one person standing at a machine for 8 hours at a time, maybe even for multiple shifts. It's a very different, more advanced form. And then similarly on our kind of existing manufacturing side, more than half of our equipment has some degree of automation, and we can set it up and let it run overnight without any humans being on site at all. This is just a locus map, just to give some context as to where the property is, kind of in the lower business park that's near the Winchester border and near the Winchester tennis clubs. And then a more detailed view of the property. So as Joe mentioned, there was an existing building, 20 Sunner Drive, that Renscott originally occupied half of, and then there was another operations happening there under Garage 42. That was that car vehicle side. And then there's the new building, 30 Sunner Drive, that Renscott also occupies. So now the vehicle business moved to another location, and so that space is now being used for the manufacturing purpose as well, with now just Renscott occupying basically this entire site. Just some photos of the site, and then some mentions of the modifications that Joe had previously mentioned about parking spots and the change of just the number of square feet being used for manufacturing. Here's an updated revised site plan, the parking table, and then the rockfall barrier. As was suggested, we explored this option, and it seems to be a great one that will satisfy kind of all the needs that we have. So it's a rock barrier, a rock berm that would be built with a jersey barrier on top, as mentioned here. And as Joe mentioned, we went in front of, I can't remember which.
Board of Appeals.
Board of Appeals, yep, for approval for the height of this, and so that's all taken care of now. Here are those details in larger form. Kind of 2 details: one for where the cliff is a bit closer, and where the berm will be kind of on the side of the cliff, and then another detail for where the berm will have a bit of a larger gap from the face of the cliff. This is a rendering of what it would look like. And that's it. And no shipping containers, to be clear. Any questions?
Questions? Councilor Viola.
Thank you. Where you're doing all this work, are there any chemicals that are utilized by any of the machines?
Yeah, there are some.
Is there like a large storage of that on site, and is any of that hazardous?
Currently, no. I don't believe anything is classified as hazardous. We don't use any significant volumes of chemicals. The chemicals that we do have are like simple cleaning, like maybe some isopropyl alcohol or something like that.
All right, thank you.
Councilor Papalato.
So I've gone out and walked the site. I've walked the building. We took a tour. It's a pretty impressive operation that they have over there. I haven't heard any negative feedback from the neighbors. There's been no problem, that nobody's raised anything to me to this point. One question I had is Tom Quinn been involved with this and taking a look at this?
Look at that. Yes, I have had conversations with him. He's aware of this, yeah.
Yeah, I believe our contractor has as well.
Okay. So generally speaking, I don't have any objection to what you're doing here. I think you've done a good job. You've invested in the city. You've been a good partner there. But I would be interested to hear what the rest of the council has to say, to get their feedback as well. But I think you've done a nice job over there.
Thanks.
Councilor DeMambro.
My hat's off to you, and I appreciate, I'm sure everybody on this council appreciates, and the city appreciates all the hard work, and you taking the time to you know, come forward with better renderings and ideas and plans. And I like this plan, not only because I suggested it, but it seems to work for the application, and it works, and it's a safe solution. My only question with this barrier rockfall is on the exterior of the wall facing the building. According to the rendering you have there, you have small type, gravel type aggregate. My ask would be you use some sort of a heavier rock, like a riprap or something, and the only reason why I asked for that is because in case of some sort of micro burst of rain, you don't want that wall to wash out. So you want something that interlocks on the barrier side of that, probably both sides, just so it doesn't wash one way or the other.
Yeah.
That would be my only concern and my only suggestion and request.
Yeah, I actually had a discussion with our general contractor last week about the details for this, and that was actually exactly what they were suggesting too, was
Excellent.
riprap to help.
Other than that,
There's no erosion.
I'm in support of this. I thank you.
So, Councilor DeMambro, just so I understand, so be a riprap on each side of the
Yes, sir. And the reason why I suggest both sides is because even though you protect the exterior side of the barrier, it could still wash backwards towards the cliff, defeating the whole purpose in it washout. And to reconstruct that at that point would be very costly. So I would suggest we just do it right and do it on both sides. This way it can't shift one way or the other. Thank you.
Anyone else? Just from the chair, question. So over time, it appears that your business model has changed somewhat, correct?
Certainly for Renscott, it's changed a little bit. Our kind of customer base has changed. Historically, we were much more automotive focused, and then last year we transitioned to aerospace, and actually this year I would say maybe like 60 or 70% of the parts we made are parts destined to go on a rocket or go into space. So it's definitely been a big transition, and next year that number will probably be even higher.
So my point is, just be mindful of any noise now that you're doing more on the manufacturing side of where you are on the base of a cliff. It's all residential up above. I'm sure these are new, well, I know, I've seen them, the new buildings. Keep everything contained in there, just so no noise affects any of the surrounding neighbors.
Certainly. Yeah, it's one of the nice parts of us having quite a lot of automation is means we don't forecast ourselves ever having a second shift or a third shift. So doors opening or people coming in and out really doesn't happen for us outside of kind of regular business hours.
Excellent, thank you. Anyone else? Yes, Councilor Demias.
So no, I just wanted to say that I appreciate the work that everyone did involved in the project, because I know that we had a few meetings where we were kind of running our heads into the wall, no pun intended.
And I appreciate all the patience too.
Yeah, no,
It's
and
taken a while.
I do appreciate the outside-the-box approach and looking at different alternatives and hearing our feedback. My only concern is whenever we're discussing the extension of a non-conforming use, I always like to hear from the building commissioner himself. And it's not that there's a lack of trust between me and Attorney Tarby about what Building Commissioner Quinn said. I just think that when we deal with matters under 7.3 that lead to us having to issue a finding, and we state as a body in that finding that we deem the extension of the special permit as no more detrimental to the non-conforming use to the neighborhood, I think it would be important if we got at least a memo or some feedback from Commissioner Quinn, because a lot of work was being done here. And I think, especially with the counselor for the ward having to ask about what Commissioner Quinn had to say about it, I think if possible, if we could push this out one meeting just to get that feedback from Commissioner Quinn, I think I'd be more happy moving forward, especially that we have to grant a finding with the issuance of the special permit and granting of the modification.
Yeah, I understand, but we're not, this particular request is not adding any new nonconformity. The nonconformity is that we have a building that's within the buffer zone. We have parking that have been in the buffer zone. Those conditions have existed since those buildings were built originally by the Whitten family, but
Yeah, there's no new construction happening within the buffer zone.
so I just want to add that, if that makes any difference.
Councilor Bruin.
Thank you. Nicely done. Cars to rocket ships. Although there's a lot of cars that are like rocket ships, so might not have been that big of a stretch. But thank you for getting rid of the big boxes. And thank you to Councilor DeMambro and others, and Councilor Papalato and you for all your hard work. I would just echo the sentiments of Councilor Demers. Ultimately, whether or not it's more detrimental or not detrimental is up to this council. But I would feel more comfortable hearing from the building commissioner. I will defer to Councilor Papalato if he wants to move forward tonight. It's his ward. But if it were mine, I might wait one more meeting.
Thank you. Councilor
I do
Papalato?
think it makes sense to what you said. I mean, I haven't been able to touch base with Tom Quinn on this. I'm sure he's not gonna have any major problems, but it's worth the wait to just, let's make one last pass through this. And I don't see any objection to anything, but I'd love to hear his perspective on it as well.
Very good. Anyone else?
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Is there anyone here in the audience that would like to speak in this matter? Please step forward. Seeing no one.
Make a motion that the matter is continued to the regular meeting of the city council on January 7th.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Thank you.
Thank you. January 7th.
January 7th.
Yeah.
Next item on the agenda is public hearing for Treetop Home LLC for a special permit under section 7.3 to raise a pre-existing non-conforming four-family dwelling and rebuild a new four-story dwelling at 5 Bennett Street. The communication dated December 17th, which is today, came from Attorney James Giuliano. This communication was requesting a continuance.
Make a motion the communication be received and made part of the permanent record.
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Second.
There is a motion and a second to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Is there anyone here who would like to speak in this matter? Please step forward. Seeing no one.
It is.
I'll make a motion that, well, I'll hold off on that for a second. Madam Clerk, in the communication from Attorney Giuliano. Is there a date? Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Next scheduled meeting, I'm sorry. I'll make a motion that we continue the public hearing until January 7th.
Second.
There is a motion and a second to continue the public hearing until January 7th. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Next item on the agenda is Auto Works for a special permit under section 5.1 subsection 44 and to amend a previously issued special permit dated May 21st, 2021 to remove condition number 2 to allow for a spray booth, at 921 Main Street. A communication dated December 17th, 2024 was received from Attorney James Giuliano, and this communication was a request to continue as well.
Make a motion that the communication be received, made part of the permanent
Second.
record.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second to open the public hearing.
It needs to be called to a vote.
Pardon me?
Got to call the vote.
Call a vote, please. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Is there anyone here?
Make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
I'm ahead of you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion and second to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Anyone here who would like to speak in this matter, please step forward. Seeing no one.
Make a motion that we continue the public hearing until the regular meeting of the city council on January 7th.
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Next item on the agenda is a public hearing to determine whether the property located at 4 Maywood Terrace is a nuisance as the term is used in Mass General Law, Chapter 139, Section 1.
To first make a motion that we accept the communication from Commissioner Quinn dated December 12th, addressed to the owner of the property. Regarding the above referenced address, I have reviewed the letter of November 21st, 2024 that was sent to you as a follow-up. that you verbally agreed to allow inspections of your property, which is a subject of a public nuisance. As of this date, December 12th, 2024, you have not contacted my office to arrange for an inspection of the exterior grounds, which has to be done within 2 weeks of the public hearing. Therefore, this letter is a notice to you that you have failed to comply with your verbal agreement. I would ask that you contact this office no later than December 16th to resolve this issue and to schedule the subject inspection no later than December 18th. So that's the last communication I have.
I'm sorry, I don't think I have a copy. What is it, said December 12th, you say?
December 12th. And I'll leave this here for you.
Thank you so much.
So that was a motion to accept that
Motion to
letter?
accept it.
The motion and the second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
So my request tonight, we're going to open the public hearing, but would be to continue this to our January 7th meeting.
There is a motion and a second to continue this to January 7th.
No.
Make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Second.
Motion and second to open the public hearing, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That passes. Anyone here who would like to speak in this matter, please step forward. Seeing no one.
I'll make a motion that we continue the public hearing to the regular meeting of the City Council on January 7th,
Second.
2025.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Next item on the agenda is the proposed zoning amendment by Woburn Madison Holdings for a Section 2 definition of mixed-use hotel restaurant to include or more contiguous development lot, and 2 Section 6 and 6.1 notes of table of dimension regulations to add footnote 6 triple I, Woburn Landing, i.e. the parcel of land located at 369 Washington Street. A communication dated December 12th, 2024 was received from Attorney Joseph Tarby, as well as, nope, that is it, sorry.
Make a motion that communications be received, made part of the permit.
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
All right, for the record, Attorney Joseph Tabby, Reuben and Rudman, 500 Unicorn Park Drive in Woburn. Here on behalf of Madison Woburn Holdings LLC, who's filed a petition seeking an amendment to the zoning ordinance to amend the definition of mixed-use hotel restaurant in Section 2 by inserting after 1 on the second line with or more contiguous. In addition, amend lot on the second line to lot. So the amended definition would read, a mix of hotel and restaurant uses in one building or in separate buildings on one or more contiguous development lots. And then footnote to 6.1.6 would be amended with the following footnote that would add a third property to this section. The first one being Inwood Office Park, which is no longer. That is where the Avalon built their original housing back then on the Reading side of I-93. The second property being Unicorn Park, and then the third would be Woburn Landing at 369 Washington Street. We're before the planning board in October. They voted to recommend that the council adopt the proposed amendment. And the reason for the proposed amendment is to allow for the hotel on 369 Washington Street to be on its own lot for financing purposes, but with all the buildings being part of one development similar to Unicorn Park and at the time Inwood Office Park. So as you know, in 2014, the City Council adopted the mixed-use retail definition that allowed for the final cleanup and development of the W.R. Grace property. As you know, the property contains a 110 Grill, a dual-brand hotel with Hampton Inn and Homewood Suites, a Chick-fil-A drive-through, Starbucks, which I understand is going to be opening sometime after the first of the year, and Press Cafe sometime, I think, within the first quarter of 2025. And again, the proposed amendment is to allow for the hotel to be on its own lot for financing purposes. We drafted the proposed amendment similar to the amendments that were adopted in April of 2000 for Inwood Office Park and Unicorn Park. At the time, Inwood Office Park was approved and designed as a master plan, 850,000 square foot campus-style office park that was going to be anchored by Verizon corporate headquarters on 57 acres of land on the Reading side of I-93. Unicorn Park is a first-class park on 28 acres, the office buildings and the hotels on its own lot. On the Stoneham side of I-93 with access off of Montfield Ave, there were 6 office buildings and a hotel developed on that property. So I did provide to you copies of the subdivision plans that were approved back for Unicorn and Inwood, as well as a conceptual A&R for Woburn Landing that were part of the memorandum we submitted to you. I know this matter has not gone to committee, and I did speak to the chair about scheduling a committee meeting. I don't know how deep you want me to get into this tonight. I did bring extra copies of the plans that I provided to you with the memo. If you'd like me, I can submit these copies and we can go over them.
Make a motion to accept them as part of the permanent record for us to review in committee.
I think you accepted them already.
Oh, you did,
That's the
okay.
December.
These are, yeah,
Sent me?
these are copies of what was submitted with the memo.
Okay. Did you just submit it to me, or did you submit it to them as well?
Yes, they all have, but I mean for purposes of discussion tonight, so I can refer to these. I don't know if everyone has their memo.
I do.
I have mine.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I thought, through the chair, to Attorney Charlie, I thought it was new material that was.
I'm sorry?
I thought it was new material that
Oh,
was
no.
submitted to everybody. I know we.
Okay, so both of those developments at the time were developed as one lot. Originally it was Vappy Construction had developed Unicorn Park as one lot. And so when you take all the lots together, they were in compliance with the FAR at the time of .75 and open space of 30%. City Council adopted changes to 6.1 that reduced the FAR in the OP zoning districts to .50. By doing that, it put both of these high-end potential tax generating. In the case of Unicorn, they do generate a lot of taxes. But in the case of Inwood Office Park, it would have made them non-conforming. So the council at that time made an exception and accepted those two office parks from the change. So it kept Unicorn Park and Inwood Park. As a whole, they would comply with the .75 and open space of 30%. But as individual lots, they would not comply because it would be impossible to do that. So the approach here with Woburn Landing is the same approach. It would require Woburn Landing to comply with the required FAR as one development, but to allow the hotel to be subdivided for the financing of the hotel. So when you look at the case of Unicorn Park, there are 6 office buildings on Lot 1, Lot 2, 3, 4, 5, and Lot 8, actually. That's where my office building is. And Lot 6 on this plan is where the hotel is. So when you take all those buildings as a whole, they complied with the FAR. But when you take them individually, they did not. So at the original owner decided at one point they wanted to sell off these lots. And as a result of that change, they were able to sell off these lots. And that's what we're looking to do here at Woburn Landing, but only the hotel. Okay, we're only talking about the hotel lot. Now, we understand that, you know, this is one step in the process, okay? So when you know, if the council were to adopt this, there are special permit decisions that have been granted at Woburn Landing. Those special permit decisions would have to come back to this council, and they would have to be modified. The fact that you adopt the zoning ordinance is the first step that, okay, we can look at creating the hotel as one lot. However, you've got all these special permit decisions that are intertwined, and we would have to come before the council and seek approval of modifying those special permit decisions. So that's it, you know, in a nutshell. But as I indicated, we haven't yet had a committee meeting where we can discuss this in more detail.
Councilor Demers.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, I did speak with Attorney Tarby about the importance of this going off to ordinance, charter, and rules, especially, I'd be interested to hear from the planning director as well about the implications that any type of change like this could have in terms of other properties as well across the city, and I've received phone calls from my colleagues as such, so I would be looking forward to continuing this and sending this off to committee.
Thank you. Councilor Mercer-Bruin.
I'm going to make a motion, and thank you, Councilor Demers, for that. I know we spoke earlier today. I appreciate your support. I'm going to make a motion that we send a communication to the planning board to get a copy of the meeting minutes for when this was approved. And if those minutes aren't available, I will make sure that we have a copy of the link to watch the meeting during our special permit meeting. My concerns with this are the same as they were months ago when it first came to the table. Inwood Park and Madison Properties are two very different things. In terms of limiting, you know, just taking the hotel, it might sound simple, but the implications of changing it, there could be many ramifications of changing this in terms of what's going on down at Tower Office Park and other properties in the area and what can happen as a result of this. So before we can, I think, make that decision, we need to understand everything. So I appreciate it going to committee, and I would, you know, once after we open the public hearing, I'm going to ask that we continue this until January 21st.
Councilor Demers.
I was going to say that would be my intent, to make sure that we've got the proper records from the planning board.
So I did make that in the form of a
Second.
motion.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Thank you.
That passes.
Motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second to open the public hearing, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Is there anyone here in the audience that would like to speak in this matter? Please step forward. How are you tonight, Chris?
Hi, good, how are you? Christopher Sylvia, 13 Bennett Street. And, you know, I know this is your ward counselor, but, you know, I don't think that all of the problems of the Washington Street area are, you know, improved by having there be potentially either more parking or, you know, less use. It seems like the sort of place where if you need to park somewhere, there's always going to be a store that's closed at whatever hour of the day you're parking, and you could walk a little further there. So I just, you know, want to ask the council to look favorably upon this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak in this matter?
Make a
Seeing
motion to
no.
continue to the regular meeting of the city council
Second and on the
on
motion.
January 21st, and refer to the committee on on
It's already-
ordinance.
I think it's already in committee.
Oh, all right. Well, then I will withdraw that and reword it. I'll make a motion that we continue this matter to the regular meeting of the city council on January 21st.
Second on the motion.
Yes, Councilor Brewer.
I just want to let everyone know this is, you know, me asking to look into this more and do our homework is not about, it's not about a few parking spaces or, this is about what can happen with other pieces of property that are adjacent to this that might not be able to happen today and could happen as a result of actions we take. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean those would be a bad thing, but we can't do that unless we understand what those potential, what we're opening up, what can of worms we're opening up. So I just want that to be clear. It's not about parking. Thank you.
So there is a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Next item on the agenda is a zoning amendment proposed by President Dillon per request of the mayor to amend section 5.1 subsection 79 to allow municipal uses to be permitted as of right in all zoning districts. A communication dated December 12th, 2024 was received from John Cashell, the planning director.
Make a motion that communications are received and part of the permanent record.
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Mayor Concanon, how are you tonight?
I'm doing well, Mr. President. Thank you. Yourself?
Excellent, thank you.
Well, to you and members of the council, thank you very much for your attention tonight. As was noted, what's in front of you is a request to amend the Woburn zoning ordinance by revising Section 5.1, the Table of Use Regulations, basically including what has been described as the municipal use exemption. As was also noted, this matter was before the planning board last week, and you have a communication from the planning director recapping the 7-0 unanimous vote from the planning board for a favorable recommendation on this proposed zoning amendment. It's my understanding that the matter is likely to go to the ordinance committee or it might already be in there, at which time the planning director, the city solicitor, and the building commissioner are prepared to present to the committee the logic behind this proposed zoning ordinance. So unless you had any particular questions of me tonight, we can do this in committee, I think.
Thank you,
Councilor
Mr.
Demands.
President. Just in terms of a focus for the data and information they may have for us at the Committee on Ordinance, I think one of the major concerns that I've received is the residential piece of the allowance of granting without special permit for a lot of this. A lot of people worry about the encroachment of, buildings, whether they're municipal and right or not, encroaching into the neighborhoods. And I know looking forward, we're looking to have flexibility for certain projects in the future. We totally understand that. But I think a concern of the neighbors is that, the city could drop a municipal use like the house in the Wizard of Oz right on their neighborhood. And there's concerns out there that could happen because they've seen it in other communities where, the freedom is given for the city to basically choose residential, like you could buy up a rundown property at, 25 cents on the dollar, and then use that as a municipal use that might not befit the quality of life of the neighborhood or the character. So I think there's concerns out there, and maybe there'll be more information at ordinance as to the, the motive behind the ordinance change, but I think that's a concern that we're all hearing.
Yeah, and that was discussed at the planning board meeting at length, debated by the planning board members. And I'll make sure that that is noted to those who will present in committee. I would also respectfully suggest that if you have a minute to look at the planning board meeting from December 10th, I believe it was, you'll see there was a robust discussion and debate on that. And in particular, there was a very nice summation by member Bolden on that matter, and I found it very helpful. So just a suggestion.
And as the chair of the ordinance Charter and Rules Committee, I would encourage my colleagues to try to get as much information into the folks that'll be at the committee hearing in terms of questions, so that they come prepared, ready to answer those ahead of time, so that we're not kind of spinning our wheels in committee. I do appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilor Mercer Bruin.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for bringing this forward. I know there are several projects on the horizon, but I did receive several emails about this and a couple of phone calls as it relates to some of those projects. So I will keep an open mind. If we were voting on it tonight, I probably wouldn't support it, but I will keep an open mind because perhaps there's a way to massage the language that will alleviate some of those fears that we're hearing from our constituency. Thank you.
Sure.
Councilor Campbell.
Yes, hi, Mayor. Good evening.
Evening.
I spoke at the last meeting with my concern on this. I did read the planning board's minutes here. I think that one of the largest concerns for me is what Councilor Demers had said about the encroachment on residential areas. The law was put in place 32 years ago to protect the residents, making sure that they're able to be heard, and it's worked for 32 years. Now, I do understand that more projects are coming in, and that, that it might be more convenient to change this, to make it easier to get the projects through. But in my view, I don't think we should take the easy route. I think this protects the residents, it protects the properties of the residents. I know that recently we've talked, I mean, obviously the MBTA Communities Act is totally different, but it came upon us and nobody had any say. The state legislature, they recently passed a law for allowing in-law apartments. In-law apartments are not allowed in Woburn, but now they need to be without any say. So I am not comfortable with this, but I will keep an open mind. But as of right now, I cannot see myself voting for this because I think this will be detrimental to the city. I can't see a particular reason why the city council would give up their authority, because we've had, the fire station came, everything went well. We've had schools come before us, things went well. Did they take longer? Yeah, probably. They probably maybe took a little bit longer, but it gave the residents time to really be heard, and I think they felt like they were heard. So I'm uncomfortable with this change, but as Councilor Mercer-Bruin had said, I will keep an open mind because maybe there's something that I didn't see or look into.
Again, just a point on that, that was part of the discussion at the planning board meeting as well, and I think when you get a chance to see that, that may allay some of your concerns. Not to debate it tonight because
Yeah.
we will be in committee, and I expect we'll hear from others as well. But the opportunity to be heard on the part of the residents for any municipal project is significant already, in the approval of the project itself and the building committee meetings that we hold on all of our projects, open to the public. Matter of fact, the other day, we had a fire station building committee, and we had a resident come over and attend the meeting and speak at the meeting, and her input was heard. So I wouldn't want anyone to think that by making this change, the residents would not have any input, nor would the council have any input into these building projects. Obviously, the council has the authority to approve the project in the first place, to approve the funding in the first place. Members of the council are traditionally on these building committees, as they are now. And again, the opportunity for the residents to be heard throughout the committee process will always be there. So again, that was discussed in length in the planning board meeting, so maybe you could take a look at that, and we'll be ready to present more of this in committee. Thank you, though.
Thank you.
Councilor Papalato.
Yeah, I too am a little bit skeptical of this, but I think I have a total open mind. I'm not slanted one way or another, and I look forward to hearing more discussion around this.
Great, thank you.
Make a motion to open the public hearing?
Second.
Motion and a second to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Is there anyone here in the audience that would like to speak on this matter? Please step forward. How are you tonight?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Sasha Hernandez, 13 Bennett Street. I also am trying to keep an open mind on this, but I did look at the Woburn zoning code, and things such as sewage facilities and public maintenance facilities are allowed under municipal uses. And I personally would want to have a say, and if a sewage facility was going to go up next to my house, and I'd like to be able to go to public hearings about it. So I will keep an open mind. I know this will go to committee, but that's just my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yes, sir.
Hi, yes, Christopher Sylvia, 13 Bennett. And I have similar thoughts, but, you know, one thing that just occurs to me that the council might want to consider is splitting the baby a little bit. You know, some of these municipal uses, like conservation land, that's something I feel like the city should be able to do by right. The sewer and water stations are a little bit less, I think those should be a public hearing. And, but something like a administrative building, that's something that seems public ready. So, and it might be a little bit more complicated to split municipal use into 2 categories of municipal use, basically something like, friendly municipal use and needs a public hearing municipal use. But I think that there are things in the municipal use that the city should be able to do as of right. I don't have the exact details of the purpose for this being brought to the council, but, for some of those, I think that as of right makes sense, and for others it might not. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councilor Boone.
I just want to, I know we're going to talk about it in committee and get more detail, but, one of the most important nuances here between by right and special permit is a contract, right? We set conditions, and those conditions have to be followed. Having a public meeting at City Hall, while anyone can walk in and go to those public meetings, there's no recording of minutes, there's no commitments made, and if there are commitments, there's no way to make sure they're kept. So, and again, I'm not saying that there aren't some things that might apply, but it gives me a lot of anxiety for now. I just wanted to make that point.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Councilor Campbell.
Yeah, and just one other comment is that we are the representatives of the residents. So, they put us here. So it is, I believe, it is important for the city council to be able to have a say, because we do hear from our residents on something. So that's another piece that I'm not sure that is something that should be taken away.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Make a motion that we continue to the regular meeting of January 21st, and that the matter be referred to the Committee on Ordinance Charter.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, under Public Safety and License Committee reports, petitions for 2020 renewal of first-class motor vehicle sales licenses were a committee report, a committee report was received ought to pass.
Make a motion the committee report be adopted.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
On a petition for various 2025 renewal of second-class motor vehicle sales license, a committee report was received ought to pass.
Same action.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
On the petition for the 2025 renewal of third-class motor vehicle sales license by Woburn Truck and Auto, 1095 R Main Street, a committee report was received ought to pass.
Motion the committee report be adopted.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Efficiently executed.
Under communications and reports, communication dated December 10th, 2024 was received from Charlie O'Connor, the parking clerk, for the parking clerk report for November 2024.
Make a motion that the matter be received and placed on file.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Communication dated December 1st, 2024 was received from His Honor the Mayor regarding the reappointment of Cassandra A. Connolly to Commission on Disability.
Make a motion the matter be referred to the Committee on Personnel.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Next on the agenda is an order from the Traffic Commission, order that the 2017 Woburn Traffic Code is amended, be further amended by adding to Schedule 3 stop signs in the following: Burlington Street, stop sign southbound at Branch Drive.
Make a motion that the matter be adopted.
Second.
Or the order be adopted, rather.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. We are adjourned at 7:15.